Howdy everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing alright. It has been a week. I apologize. Gotten like nothing done. I was in the ER with my daughter on Tuesday and slowly getting better. Wasn't great yesterday. A little bit better today. And now my wife is sick. It's rough. Life is rough, friends. So let me know what I can do to help. I'm behind on grading everything for you. I'm really sorry. I'll be working on getting caught up. As soon as my wife is feeling better, I can get back to this. That being said, hopefully you know how you did on the projects with your self-assessments, so that you should be able to know if you got those checks done there. So we just have this last project, and then we're going to talk about the final project tonight. If you want to get started on it, if you're not done with project 3, that's okay. We have some time, but definitely don't leave this for the last week. This is going to take some time for sure. Okay. So we're going to look at using the expression language and Jstl libraries a little deeper here. There's a little bit more to them that we haven't done yet. Excuse me. That we can kind of look around and play with and have some fun with. So a lot of other fun things we can do with it. There we go. So we need, there we go, expression language and some other fun things we can do with expression language, and then the Jstl library as well. So I've got NetBeans open here. Got our stocks application we were working on with our stocks servlet, the controller, right, and then the stock class itself. And the idea is to do all of our code stuff here, and then all the processing, all the stuff for any logic happens in our model classes, stock or wherever else we're doing things, and then the stocks JSP is the view for us. And we link all those things together with that MVC model like we were doing over in PHP land. So were you guys doing okay on the project 3? So I think we just did the project and no lab, right, for the JavaScript pages. Let me double check. Yep, so it didn't have any lab for that one here, just the pages. Okay, so a couple people got that one in already. Awesome. I didn't even get 0 done, folks. I'm so sorry. Oh, that's real bad. I thought I at least had 0 done for you. Okay. Nope, I'm just behind on everything. All right. So we're going to jump to JSTL. We do sessions last. So I want to do the expression language JSTL to get the core of building sites out first, and then we'll look at connecting to the database next week, and then we'll look at sessions and cookies in week 7. We'll probably do images here as well. Usually we deal with handling images that week. And then when we talk about DOM, AJAX, and frameworks, we'll look at some basic HTML stuff, the DOM, and then look at using AJAX to manipulate it. Honorable mention to frameworks. Again, we figure once you learn the basics, you can pick up any framework. But if you learn a framework, it's really hard to then go back to basics or learn other things. So it's generally the philosophy there. And then on April 28th, in 4 weeks from tonight, believe it or not, you folks will do the presenting of your final projects. Now, it would be great if you worked in pairs. It's not a requirement at this point. Given everything that's going on, it could be tough. I get it. So if you want to do it individually, great. If you want to pair up with somebody, that's great too. Just let me know. I can make it so you have a shared repository so you both can work on the same set of code. It should work out pretty well for you. You'll both have to build your own databases, but one person can build it and then export it, like we saw before. We can just export excuse me, stuff out, and it's not too bad. Okay. All right, any questions before we jump in? So we didn't have a lab to talk about, so we just have expression language, JSTL, and the final project to talk about tonight. So it should be relatively quick. We shouldn't be here all night long. I'll give you any time you need to finish up that project as well, and then we can start thinking about the final project. That sound good? Am I online? I think I'm online. Double check. Yeah, all right, there's a couple of people around, so that's good. All right, got to get that coffee. All right, so let's take a look at a little bit more with expression language here, the EL syntax. So we saw in our views then, right, if we've attached an attribute, right, we set an attribute here in the view, we can then get things with any preferred syntax, right? We can use the JSP expression language, is probably the easiest, most concise. Here we can do the manual version where we have to go get the attributes first. We can do the JSTL tag syntax if you want here. That totally works. And then looping through using JSTL and expression language. This is a combination here where we're going to combine both. And this is where we're going to end up, kind of looking at this sort of syntax. But you can go further as well if you want, which is fun. So again, with expression languages, they deal with nulls a lot better. So if there isn't anything that is a stock attribute that was set, if we never set attribute on stock, we just get blanks. Right? It doesn't crash. Versus we have to do some special checking here to make sure, hey, if it is null, either go add a new one here or figure something out for defaults on our own here for the JSTL beans and the manual methods. So there's a little bit more work there. That is a little tricky. With expression language, we can get at other types. So Java beans, there are JSP tags here, only really work with actual Java bean classes. Right? And what we had here with the stocks here, this stocks object was not a Java bean. Right? It was an array list of a class here. So it gets a little bit funny there as well. Let's see, so those are pretty good. All right, so we looked at using objects, using our standard tags. We did that one. So the dot operator is a little bit funny here when we're looking at using beans, right? Because it's not like we're calling a method at all. Behind the scenes it is, right? We looked at this stock class here, and if we have a method for, where is it here, our get value, it essentially looks like we have a value attribute, right? All of our attributes are private. We just have public gets and sets. So there's no set value, but there's a get value. So in our expression language, we can still get value here as an attribute with that dot notation. Excuse me. So anything with that get method is going to automatically translate for us, right, into this get method here. So there's a little bit of interesting stuff that happens behind the scenes there, which is fun. And let's see. Those are good. So you can get specific about scope of where you store things. We don't really get big into this. You can store things at a page context, a request context, a session context, or the entire servlet context. We don't do a whole lot with that. But beans will start with the smallest context of the page, and then the request, and then the session, and then the application as it works its way through. So you can specify which one you want if you really want to. So the other thing we can do with our expression language here, we can work with lists using index notation. Now it's a little funny here, but it works. So what we do is we're going to use the square brace notation for indexes. So if we have a bunch of attributes, we can get out, you know, this particular index, this particular index, this particular index. It's a little bit funny working with those here. So if we were to just take a straight in our stocks servlet, you know, we got the stocks array, so we should be able to work with that. So if we just wanted to reference one of them here in the view, here. So we'll put that maybe outside the table here. So this is, how about an H2? We'll have a paragraph for a single stock. Keyboard is like lagging here. That's super weird. Is going to be our $sign for the expression language. It was stocks. And then in braces here, we're going to put our index. Now, it's a little weird. We're going to put index of 0 in quotes here. And then we want, how about name? So stocks of 0, name. Did that give me that attribute? Dot stock.stocks, yeah? Dot name. Should we give you the name attribute here of the whatever that stock is? So let's give this one a run. We'll start Tomcat for the first time. So the syntax is super weird, but it'll work. Come on, start up. We're getting there. Test and test. There go our stocks servlet. It'll take a second to load that servlet here. Oh, I never, oh, that's right, we're not using database. Okay, so we should be fine. So our single stock here is GameStop Corp. Okay. That one, oh, that was kind of ugly in an H2, but it worked pulling out just one of them. So one you can use by index here. Now, index is either in quotes or numbers here. But if we're using the map type, right, when we have to use quotes. So either one will be okay, but there's no good way to really loop through it in expression language like this. It gets to be a little funny here. Let's take a look. So if your class then, so let's add a new class here. Let's call this, say, a portfolio. So portfolio is a bunch of stocks, essentially. So we need to have a private array of type stock. Here we'll call our stocks. And then we'll add all the things to make this a Java bean. Right? To be a Java bean, we need to implement serializable. Serializable. Did I spell it wrong? Serializable. There it goes. Serializable. Okay, and we got to import our array lists. Yes, please. Don't need those. Don't need those. Right, and then we'll add our gets and sets. Now, you do want to be a little careful with gets and sets for reference types. Because remember, when you get it, you're returning the memory address, which is, it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. But you're going to give anybody access to go and add and remove things from an array list here. Which maybe that's what we want. We just need to be careful with this one here. And then we need a constructor. We need the no argument constructor to be a Java bean with no arguments. And then if we want to, we could also add in our own constructor here that takes an array list as well. Right, and essentially does this one here. So if we wanted, then we could call our own this with a new array list of type stock. Here, this being, we'll call our constructor here to just give it a new array list. So if you don't specify, we want to make sure we are setting a value for this, right? Constructors' jobs are to give values to all of your attributes. So if you don't specify, we'll make it empty, and then we can get and set those sorts of things here. Now, we could also, just for fun here, have a public void add stock. So we can give you a way to add a stock to our array list. Oops, not a P there. We could say our stock.add the stock. And this just gives you a quick way to access an individual or add an individual stock without having to call get stocks and then add yourself. Just an option, right? We don't necessarily need to do any of this, but we could give them more methods to interact with our array lists outside of that. The bean is just the minimum requirements. We can add more to it from there. So then in our stocks controller now, I'm going to use this array list. Hey, thanks so much for following along, my friend. Glad to have you here. I'm going to use the same stocks array list to create a portfolio. So we'll make a portfolio equals a new portfolio. There we go. Given the stocks array list. And then we'll set the attribute for it here. For portfolio and portfolio. Okay, give it a little format. There we go. Then in my stocks view, okay, so this was looking at a single stock again. That was kind of ugly. Let me take out the H2 header here because that was too big. One to paragraph. So using that expression language, if a hydration reminder, thank you so much, my friend. Cheers. Oh, I wish I could figure out how to get those into the chat view here. That's okay. So with the expression language, if a class here, our portfolio class, has another class as its attribute, we just continue using the dot notation. So I could also then get this single stock. We'll say from stocks attribute is this way. And then we could do another one if we wanted. From portfolio attribute is going to be my portfolio dot stocks, because stocks is the attribute, right? So portfolio has a get stocks attribute. So dot stocks will get the stocks array list. From there, then we can get index 0 and get the name out. So you just continue with the dots. So class.attribute, or .index.attribute, and on and on and on and on. We should be able to get that one out as well now with the portfolio class. And this is probably a little cleaner to use a class there than just an array list. Again, because we can add some additional features and functionality and whatnot. So we still get the same one here. So then if we wanted to change our loop here, we'll do the same sort of loop here. Yeah, I think we should be able to do this. So let's do, that's just for a single one. This was for all of them, right, in that whole stocks list. So let's do a similar thing. Let me grab this one here. And how about instead of a table, we just start another paragraph maybe. No, paragraph. Okay, so we'll go for each. Now we want for each, we'll say this is a stock in portfolio, maybe, portfolio. And this will be the name inside of here. And what is this attribute? It is the items come from the portfolio.stocks attribute here. And this will be our stocks in portfolio name. And then let's just do these. How about as, should we do another table? I guess we can do another table. I don't know. That's okay. That's funny. We'll just do it. Just throw it in here. We'll do another one right in here. Forget the other paragraph. We should be able to get them all out of the portfolio object. Right, an instance of the portfolio given the stocks attribute. And this way we just have a single portfolio class. And again, we can do some other fun things with the portfolio class. Let's see if we can get that one to load. Yep, so we get our, do we get the same values again? Yep, we get the same GameStop and AMC again. Remember, these were all duplicates here. So we just had the 2 essentially. So then what we can do with portfolio, which is fun now, we can add some features and functionality. We could say, how about a public double get total value? Right, so we'll say a double for value is 0, and for stock in the stocks collection here, we'll do the little enhanced for loop. We'll take our value plus equal the stock.getValue. And we're done, we'll return the value. So now it's going to look like I have a total value attribute. So in my stock view then, here in my paragraph, I can add another paragraph. Goodness, those suggestions were just not great here. So we'll say total value, portfolio, $, to get the actual $, and then the expression language on our portfolio dot total value. Right, and then I'll use the get total value attribute or method, right? Because it looks like an attribute here. It has a get method. So stocks controller, we'll circle it here, and we are down $147 because we were down $157 on GameStop. We made $16 on AMC. Right? If we bought it at $350, and now it's worth $20. Okay, does that part make sense? So we're just using that expression language, kind of grouping these things all together here as we go. All right, so you can do some funny things with attributes and square braces. I don't recommend it here. But you can do it with square braces instead of the dot notation. I don't know why you would. That just looks really funny. I'd try and stay away from that. Yeah, using the quotes is really funny. I don't think, yeah, sorry, the maps are really weird. I'm trying to make sense of their example. I think we'll be fine because we can add given attributes. And we'll be okay. Yeah, I think we're good there. Some other expression language objects, which are really fun. You can get parameters out as well. So there's a param, whatever the parameter name is, we can get out as well in the expression language. So if we don't have a form in here, let's maybe make a new page here then. So let's do a new JSP. We'll call this one our forms. Here, why not? Make it forms. So the forms JSP then, we'll throw a little form in here. I don't think we had one in index, did we? No, I wanted to copy one, but that's okay. Sure, that's fine. So we want to send this to the same stocks controller, right? And then yeah, I just want to go copy paste it here. I don't want to have to go find all that again. 54. Yeah, we got some forms here we can copy. Did I go to Dunkin' Donuts for the donuts or the coffee? Definitely the coffee. Yeah, although I do like donuts, they are bad for me as a type 1 diabetic, so I try and avoid them, Crow. Just try. Hey, thanks so much for following along, my friend. Glad to have you here. All right, we got a form. No, that's our controller. Our view here. Let's see, I think we had one. We can copy this form, right? There we go. All right. Oh, not too bad. Okay, we want to send it just to the stocks servlet. Let's just do a get one here. We'll make this a little bit easier here. And don't want to do username and password. How about username and email address? So we'll have a username and email. Maybe we'll pretend it's to register here. So in our JSP then, right, we can do our including. So I'm going to use my tag library first. So I can do my includes. And then we can include the header. We don't need any of this other stuff here. It starts out with the body for me. We'll just include the header. And then we'll include our footer as well. We'll steal this one after we're done here. We don't need to end the body. Okay, we'll put in our footer. Okay, so how do we know how to get to this form here? So we probably want to have then a way of telling our controller which we want to go to. Do you think the coffee tastes like hot water? Really? Maybe, I don't know. Not bad. It's cheaper than Starbucks. So, I don't know. I'm not too much of a coffee snob. I do have, you know, if it's too weak though, like if it really tastes like hot water, then yeah, that's no good. But as long as it's got like a decent strength, usually pretty good with it. All right, so we need a way to say, hey, we should go to the stocks view or the forms view. Right, so maybe we add in here, let's see, so we'll have a reference for stocks, and then how about we have in here, we'll say, let's go to, I don't know, action equals forms or something. And we can look for that actions attribute here in our stocks. So we can look and see, before we do any of this then, we can say if quest.get parameter action equals words. Otherwise, we'll do this one here. Right, so then we'll send it on to /forms.jsp. Okay, that little format. Let's run. So see if we can add in that other link here, then will take us to the forms view. No, we need it. Well, we need that action too in our form here, don't we? So we need a input type is hidden, name is action, value is forms. There we go. So we need one other input here to make sure when we submit the form, we come back to it. There we go. So we have stocks and stocks with action of forms. That probably shouldn't say stocks. Let's go change that one here. It should be forms. All right, it's probably pretty silly using the same controller here, but that's okay. All right, so we still have the header. Oh, we didn't change the header. Oops. That's what we should do. It should go in the header, our nav section, to have forms here. Okay. Now we got that in our nav section. So go back to the stocks. Oops. Uh-oh. String is null. Oops. So we actually, I think we can cheat and do this backwards, right? Because we didn't have that attribute. So we want, let's try this here. Forms dot equal my request to get parameter action. So I think this is safer. Let's give that a try. Because, where am I? Too many parentheses? More parentheses. There we go, more parentheses. So if forms, which is never null, equals this thing. So if this thing is null, I think equals will be fine. Let's give that a try. I think we'll be okay. We just go to stocks. There we go. You go to forms, stocks, forms, right? What is that character? Where did that come from? Hello world. Oh, right there. That's where it is. All right, there we go. Just wanted that cleaner. So now we should be able to say like test and test, and click register. It should bounce us right back here as a get. Here, username, email, action. Right? Test and test, register, we get bounced right back. So what we can do in the view if you want, right, or in the JSP directly. All of this to get to the JSP where you can get some of these parameters out. Excuse me. Man. So we want the parameter. So let's say in here, I don't know, how about welcome. So this will be $, param dot. So this is saying, hey, go to the parameters and find the username value. And then email param dot email. Okay, let's give it a look. So we should be able to say, okay, cool, let's go see if we can get these parameters out directly. No, welcome, there's nothing there, right? So expression language handles that nicely. And if you have test at test.test, we register, now we get pulling the parameters out directly in the view. Again, this is just in the view. We don't necessarily want to do a lot with that in the view, but you can do that in expression language, which is fun. And then you can also deal with cookies, which we haven't really got to yet. You can get values out of cookies as well to get particular values out, which is pretty fun. So that should be fine. So expression language, you can do operators, right? You can do all your addition, multiplication, subtraction, all those sorts of things yourself if you want. You can do modulus, right? You can do your relationals, greater than, less than, equal to's. We can do all of those in the expression language as well if we want. The ternary operators are kind of funny, just kind of funny. Stretch, thank you, my friend. Oh. So the ternary expressions are actually kind of useful here because we can, in our expression, quickly see if there is no value here, it's going to be false. So it's a null value there will not exist. So I can check and see if something does exist, right, or not. We can use their username, or we can use their email, checking if it exists or not. It gets a little bit funky. And again, this is all in the view. It's probably easier to do this sort of thing in the controller first, and then to set those values, because you don't want to have too much code inside your views if you can help it. Life is usually easier if you don't. All right, cool. So that was actually most of the expression language. That wasn't too bad here. Worked out pretty well. So we got to talk about the Jstl library here. So we're using the Jstl library, the core library here. Got a couple other fun options we can do in here. So again, we need to add the library here. So we want to right-click, add library, and add the Jstl library that's there. Right, make sure you do that first so you use it, and then in your JSP, you add that little, hey, I want to use this library here. So just add your JSTL, and then we have this line at the top and say, okay, I'm going to call them all with this C prefix. So anything C dot we'll go and use it. So C import will do the core import here. Use that kind of nicely for us here. So they have a formatting library, they have a SQL library, they have an XML library, they have a functions library, all sorts of really cool things we can do in there, which is pretty nice. So if we are taking parameters directly here, right, one of the things we might want to do is do that sanitizing. Right, when we looked at PHP, we wanted to do any encoding, so we didn't get any JavaScript issues where if someone embedded JavaScript in the query, it would run the JavaScript on your page. Right, so if we did that JavaScript alert, I forget what all is here. Let me just go grab that real quick. Alert, probably that one. Yeah, here we go. Don't need the function though, we just want it to be alert. That's fine. So let's drop this in. Come on. Make it all on one line. We don't need the fun part, we just say alert. Come on. We'll just alert test. Okay, so I think that ought to do it here. So let's see if we can submit that then as a name here and see if it spits out. Come on. Go on back. Go on. So we put that in for our name, whatever email address register, and we get our JavaScript alert. Uh-oh. Right, that's not cool. We don't want that. Right? It doesn't even show anything because it's a JavaScript. So in the core library, right, anytime we're outputting parameters, right, there's a really handy core library for this. So we say C out. And the value that we want to output here then is equal to, and then in quotes, we give it the JSTL, which is, or I'm sorry, the expression language, which is kind of funky here, but I promise it's not too bad. So we just say, hey, core library, output this value here instead. Now, when I refresh my page, it sanitizes it. Right? It still looks right here, but it's not actually running that JavaScript. Again, if I put it in email, because I haven't sanitized that yet, it'll run it. And so we need to go sanitize that. So we can use that for sanitizing all of our stuff. It's a little bit obnoxious to have to do that, but really good practice anytime we're dealing with anything coming from the user. Right? And again, this is a good reason to do sorts of checking and stuff in your controller to put up with that nonsense. Okay, and then I can send it both if I want, and it should be sanitized on both sides. Oops, not that one. Oops, I need the script. Where'd it go? Did I lose it? Oh no, I lost it. There it is. Here's my script. There. So if I put it for the username and the password, they both just nicely get sanitized. So that one's super handy here. Then you can also say we can add in defaults. So if there is no value, right, you can say, okay, this is the value, and then we can add a default for it. Equals no name. Welcome no name. That'll look real nice, right? So in our output then, if I just register, oh, I didn't get it. Why didn't I get it? Oh, it's okay, because I am passing it. It's just blank there. Okay, so empty is different from not being there. Let's try this one here. Oh goodness, we'll just go to this forms one here. So no name, if there is no parameter, is different from there being a parameter and it being blank. Right? So technically username has a value here, it's just empty, versus here there is no username parameter. So you gotta be a little bit careful with your defaults. But yeah, outputting anything, using that output here to make sure we don't handle each of those is super handy. The for each we looked at. The for each is super helpful for looping through things. The for token's interesting. It just lets you kind of like break up a string. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that one. It's not as interesting. When we're looping that for each here, we can get additional information out if you're curious, right? So in the for each loops. So we have items here saying where we're getting them from, and then this is the variable inside the loop what we're going to call it. We also then can add some values of where we're beginning in the loop, right? The first index for the loop. We can add an ending index for the loop if we want. You can add the step, how much we want to change. So usually we step by 1, right? We go from index 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, on and on and on. You can change that if you want. So just like we could in code, we could do a for each loop or a for loop and say, hey, I want starting at index 5, go up to index 10. We have control over all of that here as well using those other tags. So we can say, hey, I want to begin index 0, 0. I want to end at, say, index, I will say 10 here, and I want to step by 1. And then you can use those values inside of these here. So the beginning, ending, and I don't think the step one's interesting. We'd say the var status of what we want to call it here is just status. So var status lets you get at all of these other variables here from something called status. So if we wanted to include some of that information here, we might say this is like another table data for, oh, we can't add that to the table, can we? I guess we could in a different table, but that's no fun. We'll just add it in here. So we'll take the var status, status dot, let's get the, how about the index here. So in our loop, then we should get the index value here out of whatever we're looping through. So let's go back to our, oh, I got to reload this one. That's the, oh, it's just the JSP. So we should be fine to just hit the controller. It'll reload that JSP. So now we get, okay, this is index 0, this was index 1, right, in this particular loop. So you can add in some additional variables here, which is kind of fun, working through those with the for each loop. The if tag is really nice, allows you to do things if something's true. We can either change some syntax or we can change all sorts of different values here. So how about we do one here? Let's say, let's add in a, oh my goodness, HTML font color. This is going to be really ugly here, but it'll be okay. Sure, why not? Do you want to do style? Sure, we could do that, I guess. Here. Okay, so not the whole paragraph. Shoot, I don't want the whole one here. Just want for one piece here, just for font. Let's do it. I don't want the whole paragraph. HTML5. Come on, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I don't want it for the whole paragraph. That's the same link. This is not what I want. Friends. we're not supposed to use font, but that's fine. That's fine. We'll do it anyway. We'll do it. So we're going to say C if. And we'll say, what is the test here? So what the test is, so this is what we're going to check to see if it's true or false. So we want the portfolio total value here is that value greater than 0. So if it is, right, we want to do something, and then we'll end our, oops, end the quote. Oh, there's end the quote. We'll end the CIF. Goodness, where's my else? Oh. Sorry, okay, so this is just a single if here. So if it's a single, if we're greater than, how about we'll do if we're less than 0? Then we want to set the font color equals red property. And then we'll add that. No, I guess we just color it red, and then we'll end the font here. Ugh, gross. Format. I didn't format right. So if the portfolio's total value is less than 0, we'll add a font tag here using expression language. So it's not embedded Java code. It's using the tag library and expression language to do this for us. We could do it in embedded code. There's nothing saying we can't do it, but sometimes these just work a little easier or cleaner looking than having all of your Java code snippets inside of a servlet, right? And having to have code blocks and then end your code blocks and then those sorts of things. So let's give that one a try. See if we can't say if our value is negative, we get all in red. There we go. And now we get in red. And the rest is fine. So we can use a little if here to say, okay, if it's red. Now, if we wanted to say red or green, then we need to do a choose. So instead of an if here, right, what we could do is we'll do a, let's grab a whole other paragraph here. We're going to say C choose, and then in the choose block here, goodness, we're going to have a when. So C when, and then our test, portfolio value is less than 0. We'll add the font color red. That ends the when. C when. So this is sort of like an if-else, right? You can have multiple whens if you want, and then you can have or an otherwise, which is kind of crazy, but that's okay. So either it's red. We want to do that one anyway, so we'll end the font afterwards here. We'll spit out the whole value. Oh, and then a C default here, so or otherwise, right? Otherwise, not like that. Oh yeah, see otherwise, okay. Otherwise, then we'll set it to green here. So we're getting either red or green, depending on when this test is true or not. Let's give that one a try. Oh, we're never going to turn it to green, are we? Because we don't have a green, oops, uh-oh. Legal text inside of choose tag. Oh, we can have this one in there, shoot. So we need that outside of the choose. There we go. It's all got to be inside these tags here. There we go. So either red or green font. Again, we're not going to get the green font because we're never going to be greater than 0 in this portfolio. I guess we could change the portfolio and add to it, right? And now we get it in red again, right? So if we're to change our portfolio or like add a different stock to our portfolio where we're making more money, right, that should turn green. So let's, for fun, let's go in here and change our stock real quick. Stocks in the stocks controller. And let's say we made some more money on this. So maybe we bought this one at 100 instead of 300. This we have to rerun because it needs to reload the servlet here. Right, go to the stocks. And now it's in green with that else, or the otherwise, right? So this one is just, it's not red. This one is green, right? Because that was the otherwise. All right, I think that's pretty good. Let's see, URLs is fine. Other tags. You can set values. You can catch exceptions in expression language. You can get parameters. You got all sorts of fun options, which are pretty cool. And then they go through and show you the cart application as they built it out with expression language and JSTL. So kind of that mix and match. We're going to take advantage of the JSTL library then to let us do a lot of this stuff. Now, it's not that we couldn't do it without code blocks, though. So we're not really gaining a whole lot out of this by using our expression language, right? We could do the code blocks, but sometimes it's nicer to not have the embedded code, right? So like to do this with embedded code would be, we could do a similar approach. We'll try that. We'll do one more with embedded code just to compare those. So we would say, okay, let's start a code block. And then we'd say, hey, if our, now I can't use portfolio here. I can't use expression language inside of code. So I have to go back to the getting an attribute, right? So we'll go get the attribute out in our code block. So this is going to be a portfolio. This is my portfolio. Attribute is a portfolio. Oh goodness. Of get attribute portfolio here. And then it doesn't even know the portfolio, so we have to go up and add our imports, right? So we're importing stocks. How about stocks.star? Ought to work here for our page imports. There we go. Now it knows what a portfolio is. Eventually we'll end our code block here. And then we'd have to say, okay, now we have the portfolio. If my portfolio dot get total value, right, is greater than 0 or less than 0, then what do we want to do? Well, then we need to end the code block and output something, right? And then to output something here, this is our if, we would say the font here, color's red. And then we want to start a code block again, right? Because then we want the else here. Else, else. Then if it's not that, then we want the font color to be green. Oops, color equals green. And end the code block. And then after that one, start the code block again. So you can see why this, you might prefer the expression language, right? It's just already getting kind of crazy here, right? Then we need to output the total value, right? Regardless of which one it is, if or else. So then we would say, okay, I just want to output my portfolio attribute.get total value. Then I want to, oops, legal start a type. Oh, I didn't end the code. Got to end the code block for that ending the else there. Then I can output, right? I guess I could just leave that in there, right? That's probably fine. And then we want to end the font here, right? So this whole ugly mess here of code block, end code block, code block, end code block, code block, end code block it's workable here. It's just kind of funny, right? And now okay, just the value again, just the value of it here. But we could do that. So is it this one prettier or this one? Again, it's a little bit funny too on its own. It's not necessarily that much better, but I think a little bit straighter forward managing if-else's inside of what needs to go in and out and that sort of thing. Using the tags is sometimes a little bit easier here. Okay? All right, so let me fire up GitHub here. We'll get this committed for some examples. Hey, Professor Perp, how you doing today? Glad to have you along, my friend. We're looking at JSTL. I think you're having some flashback memories. I got my own animated emote here now, too. Hey, Almost. How you doing tonight? All right, so let's commit this one here. Yeah, that one or a game. I had one person try the game last semester, but I think Twitter's just a lot of fun, and it's something you can actually talk about too, which is cool. This is more EL and JSTL here. Even if you actually take the time to do it, there's a lot of stuff you learn. If you just copy someone else's, it's awful. Yeah, Hopper was great. You guys did awesome with Hopper. Just like anything else, the amount of effort you put into it is going to determine what you get back out. Sorry, Almost. I know. It's workable. I want something better. I need a better IDE that'll support the Java web stuff. So I'm working on getting stuff switched over. We can't do it with the community version of IntelliJ. Yeah, if we can get the education license, we could. So I just need to see if they'll issue them to students for home install, because I can definitely get the license for college computer installs, but I don't want to make people have to use our virtual machines, because that's the. So as long as they'll issue them, I don't know, maybe we can Google that. Get IntelliJ education license. How do I get IntelliJ for free? Here we go. Is there community support? If all you need is an edu email address, we're set. I honestly haven't Googled it yet. Oh, or at home. Look at that. Or at home. Okay. Enroll in an accredited educational program that takes 1 or more years of full-time study to complete. My goodness. So how do I do it? Yeah, okay. University email address. Okay, nice. Ooh, with your student developer account pack. Nice. For graduates, you get a discount. Look at that. Look how much they're going to, you can get all their stuff. Okay, nice. So I think we should be able to do it with IntelliJ. Oh, you can get PHP Storm too. There we go. Yeah, Community Edition is fine for personal, but it doesn't support Java Web. So when we looked at IntelliJ versions, it had that. Yeah, I thought we looked at the comparing versions here. Not comparing file versions. That's not product comparison. I looked at this almost. You're reminding me though. Thank you. It's been a rough week. It's been a real rough week. A rough month. Rough semester. We'll get there. Let's see. Yeah, so the community doesn't do the PHP for us. It doesn't do our Java EE stuff. Yeah, it might work with the basics then. We're not doing too much here. Maybe it'll work. We can look and see. I'll have to try it. You're inspiring me, my friend. I appreciate you. All right, so we're going to talk about the final project. Actually, do you want to take a break first, or do you just want to power through and do the final project and then call it a night? Up to you, folks. I know we've already been going for about an hour. Now, if you want to break first, I'm up for that. If you want to just power through, that one's good too. Whichever you want to look at. Twitter time, yeah, for sure. So this final project, again, makes up 40% of the overall score. There is no final exam. This is just the last project. So we have the whole last month of class. All right, Goat, you got it. You are the only vote, my friend. So you win. We're going to talk about the final project. Pull up another tab here so I can shamelessly copy-paste. Oh, no, want it in the other screen, please. Other screen. There you go. Slide. There we go. Okay, so we're going to add a new assignment. Close all these down. Maybe I should close NetBeans down, see if that speeds anything up. Okay, here's our final project. So this is due the 28th, the last day of class, 6 p.m. You folks get to present here. Should be a lot of fun, I promise. So I think, do we have that existing item? We have, yeah, we have final project there. There we go. Nice. Okay, we're going to do a new category for final project. I don't know if this actually needs a category, but that's fine. So please submit the feedback, pull request, URL, and a self-assessment using the rubric. Assessment. There we go. I can spell sometimes. Let's go pull up the other screen here. This one, because shameless repeat here. Ah, Golang. Okay. Does it have the Go language plugin? I've never tried it. I'll have to figure it out. I've been meaning to take a look at Go. I just been a little busy, so it sounds like a lot of fun. Seems like a real neat one. Okay, so we need the classroom link for your repository. So again, if you want to work this with a partner, I'm totally open to that. I think actually you'll have experience, a better product at the end as well, but it's up to you. If you don't not up for that right now, still have global pandemic stuff happening, so repository, I give you access to the same repository, but up to you. Yes, 2454, winter 2022, final project. Yeah, I think it's great to be able to work it out with somebody, kind of talk through your issues for sure. Community college or Java template. 2 heads are definitely better than 1. All right, there we go. Here's our link for it. Maybe people play games with sit there and listen. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, just the act of talking through a problem and trying to explain it is awesome. There's an idea called rubber ducking, where you have to explain something to a rubber duck, and that helps solve your problems. So this, I started with the idea back in, when was that? This must have been 2020, when Parler was in the news for getting shut down off of their hosting platform for things. And we said, well, what would it take to build our own, right? Yeah, hopefully at work you can collaborate with people. It's really boring to be the only programmer on a project and have no one to talk to about it. It really is a much better collaborative process. And you can learn a lot from other people, or if you know more, then you can share that with other people too. Ideally, the tech industry is a great place for sharing knowledge. Let's look at sites like Stack Overflow. I know that doesn't always work in practice, but that's the ideal that we'd like to get to, and definitely part of a good software engineer's ethic, code of ethics. All right, so we're going to build a database-backed Twitter or Parler clone, essentially. We're going to let users create accounts and log in. We don't need to worry about deleting accounts, and no email verification. You don't need to send actual emails or anything. They should be allowed to follow and unfollow people, see a list of the newest tweets of those they follow on their homepage. We should be able to go to a /username or username parameter page to show just the tweets of one user, and then allow the logged in user to follow from that page. So like when I go to their page, I can follow them there. If the username doesn't exist, gives them some sort of generic error, like couldn't find that user. You want a dad joke, my friend? You got it. You got it. Let me grab my handy dandy deck of cards here. Oh, that's the knock knock jokes. That's not it. A dad joke. Why did the invisible man turn down the job offer? He just couldn't see himself doing it. Almost, my friend. Sleep is good for you. Sleep is important. You can only compensate so much with caffeine, my friend. Appreciate you stopping by, though. All right. So we'll go to their page. We'd like an option to like or unlike, again, like and unlike the tweet, and a count of the number of likes when we display tweets. All right, do you want a bonus one then, my friend? Why can't a leopard hide? Because he's always spotted. I would love to hear one. You got one? I collect dad jokes. And then we'll look at images another week or two or so. We'll do it in PHP land, and I didn't see it happen because I didn't watch it. I have no interest in watching that sort of thing, but I did watch the recordings for sure. All the replays. Yes. So we'll make tweets that include images. You can add an image for your tweet. So we can have this be a real meme fest or something. Maybe this is only memes, or you know. There we go. I just had an idea for a website, Professor Burp. You up for it? We should make a website called onlymemes.com, and people can register to pay to see your memes, your hot memes. Out of 100 people in the room, 99 will not slap you, but 1 will. Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. It's a quality pun there. All right, so let's build out a rubric for this. For the final project, we just kind of break it down piece by piece by piece here. So if you can't get a portion of it working, you know, that's totally okay. Ideally, because we've got 4 weeks, you'll get it all working. But it's totally up to you if you want to say, okay, I'll get 80% of it done and forget that last feature. I'm just tired of it. It's up to you, whatever sort of goal you need to get for your points, for your final score. So we'll have 4 sections here, 10 points each. So this is user account creation and login. Good night, my friend. Guten Nacht, I think. It's been quite a while since I took my German. And then our users' homepage lists tweets of those they follow, including like count. So this is displaying tweets, including a like count of people that we follow. Can view individual user tweets and unfollow the user. So this one, yes, change it, please. Individual. There, individual. No, not an individual. I can't spell, friends. Can't. So this one, you get the like count points here. This one, there's no points for the like count, but the following and unfollowing is the functionality that goes along with this additional page here. Okay, and then being able to create tweets, including images. So being able to make your own tweets, including images for 10 points, seeing other people's pages, following and unfollowing them, on your page, seeing everyone you follow, including the like count, and then account creation and login. So being able to register, create an account, and then log in. 10 points there. So that's the 40 points. So I know we haven't done the database stuff yet in Java. We'll get to that next week. We'll start doing that. And then I'll start building out a Twitter database that you guys can copy. If you've taken a database course, feel free to do it yourself. If you've not, I'm happy to walk you folks through it and kind of build out what it might look like. And we'll kind of use that example from there with the databases. So just doing some real basic stuff. Okay. All right. Questions, thoughts, concerns? So I do know there are Twitter solutions out on the internet. I'm not stupid. Right. The goal of this is to build your own here so we can actually use some of this functionality. And then when it comes time to do an interview with people, you can actually talk about, oh yeah, I created this from scratch myself, and these are the things I ran into, this was what was hard about it, this is what I learned from it, that sort of thing. Not, yeah, I found one and I copy pasted it. Okay, so we'll have a big disclaimer here, not copy paste someone else's Twitter clone for this. You're welcome to find like an individual snippet. Like, okay, if someone has a really nice way of doing one particular thing, sure, we can cite one particular piece here. I don't want anything more than that. So no external sources aside from one small snippet or so. I know that's a bit subjective, but it's not, like, we're not going to say, okay, I'm going to take their login piece, and I'm going to take this person's image piece, and I'm going to take this person. We're not doing that either, right? The goal is everything we've done so far, we can build this from scratch, get some experience building out a web application from the ground up, backed by a database, and have some fun with it, okay? And we've got a month to do it, so it shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, Parler 2.0, there we go. Feel free to name it anything you want. We're not selling this, so there's no copyright issues, and it's in a private GitHub, so it should be fine to have some fun. Call it anything you want and go from there, okay? All right, questions, thoughts, concerns? I wasn't planning on a lab for today, the EL and JSTL, because we still have that project to work on. So work on your project here for your servlets and JSPs in lieu of the lab there. When we get to the database piece, I'll bring back that a lab for the databases in Java to make sure you can do databases in Java land versus just in PHP. And then we'll go from there, okay? All right, folks, it's been fun. Should we see, Professor Perp, are you still around? Is there anyone we should go raid for fun? You know? We can send a raid off if you have anybody around who might want a bunch of nerds. If not, we'll see who's around and we can go from there. All right, folks, we put on the ending screen soon. Ending soon screen. And we'll see if anyone's around then. Let's see what we got. Oh, let's go watch some chess. Here we go. Our friend JJ is playing chess. It's fantastic. He's a master's student over at St. Louis University studying computer science, computer engineering. He's awesome, and he's a Turkish grandmaster of chess. We'll have some fun hanging out over there. Okay? All right, folks. I will see you around. Please let me know what I can do to help. I want to get you pointed in the right direction, and we'll go from there, okay? You folks take care.